Natural resources are the primary elements for the enhancement of any country. The growth of secondary sector along with the trade and commerce is basically dependent of the business environments, including natural environments like land, labor, topography, etc. Thus, the attainment of growth of any industry is dependent on the appropriate selection of the locality. A theoretical structure for studying the location judgments made of firms and households depends upon the transportation expenditure and spatial differences in the accessibility of inputs and markets for outputs. This category of thought has led to the introduction of different location models or theories in the field. Numerous location theories are developed with the distinguished contributions from a variety of experts like August Loask, Alfred Weber, Johann von Thoma, Walter Christaller, and so on and so forth. The majority of the theories obviously consider the expenditure of transportation cost in the production of consumption choices made by the firms and households. However, location theory has been utilized to explain urban density, labor migration, and land utility. In this connection, the discussion about location models is in fact considerable. Location theory answers to the questions of what kind of economic activities are located where and why. Location models in economics and geography theories concerned with the geographic location of an economic activity. It has become an integral part of economic geography, regional science, and spatial economics. Economic geography is usually regarded as a subfield of the discipline of geography. Although recently economists such as Paul Krugman and Jeffrey Sachs have intensified the interest which can be considered as a part of economic geography. Economic geography is a study of location, distribution, and spatial organization of economic activities across the world. Marxist political economy, growing out of the work of David Harvey, and the new economic geography, which takes into account special cultural and institutional factors in the spatial economy. Various location models are found in reality. They can be discussed in the following ways. One of the classical model in the field of location model is Thumann model. John Heinrich von Thian is a German inhabitant of Prussia landowner who is known as the father of location theorists. Introduced an early theory of agricultural location in 1826. The Thumann model suggests that accessibility to the marketplace can create a complete system of agricultural land use. His model emphasizes a single market surrounded by farmland, both situated on a plain field of complete physical homogeneity. The model assumes that farmers surrounding the market will produce crops which have the highlight market value, that is highest rent that will give them the maximum net profit or the land rental fee. The powerful feature in the location payment will be the transportation costs. When transportation costs are high, the location rent will be low and vice versa. This situation produces a rent grade along with the location rent decreases with the distance from the market, finally reaching zero. At the same time, industrial development and emerging trends of infrastructure and service sector are not taken into consideration. Another important classical economist who stressed about the location model is David Ricardo. David Ricardo, who lived between 1772 to 1823, was an English political economist often credited with systematizing economics and was one of the most influential of the classical economists. Along with Adam Smith, Thomas Malthus and John Stuart Mill, he was also a member of parliament, a financier, a businessman who is a collective considerable person. The model for this theory basically said that only one grade of land is being used for cultivation. Rent will not exist, but when multiple grades of land are being utilized, then the rent will be charged on the higher grades and will increase with the increase of the grade. The process of economic development increase, land utilization and eventually show the way to the cultivation of poorer land. This will be benefited opinioning and the primary landowners because they would receive the rent payments either in money or in product. Thus, the gap between societal value growth and individual value growth in the case of land is Ricardian rent theory. However, in this model would not consider much about the manufacturing development and emerging tendency of infrastructure and information technology and other service segment are not taken into consideration. Another contribution in the field is by William Alonso. William Alonso built upon the intra-urban variations in the land use. He attempted to apply accessibility requirements to the urban center for variety of land use like commercial housing and industry, etc. According to this model, each land use has its own rent grade or offer rent curve. The curve sets the maximum amount of rent and any land utilization will provide way for specific location like commercial establishments, households and industries. All households will attempt to occupy as much land as possible while staying within their accessibility requirements. Since land is relatively low in rate at the extreme of the city, households with less need for town center accessibility will locate near the extreme. This sort of land will be usually purchased by the wealthy households. Poor households require greater accessibility to the urban center and therefore will locate near the center, competing with commercial and manufacturing establishments. This will have a tendency to generate a separated land use system because households will not pay commercial and industrial land value for the central locations. However, this theory would not believe about numerous other aspects like technological aspects as well as geographical aspects which are essentially to be considered in the location models. In 1929, Hotelling developed a location model that demonstrates the relationship between location and pricing. Assuming all the consumers are identical and the consumers are evenly isolated along the line, both the consumer and the firms react to the changes in demand and the economic environment. Walter Ayard from Philadelphia, living during 1919 to 2010, was a prominent American economist, principal founder of discipline of regional science. Regional science is a field of the social sciences concerned with analytical approaches to the problems that are specifically rural, urban or regional areas. Topics in regional science include migration analysis, environmental and ecological analysis, location modeling, transportation, land use and urban development, inter-industry analysis, resource management, urban and regional policy, analysis as well as geographical information system analysis. In the widespread sense, any social science assessment that has a special measurement is regional science. Another major contribution to the location model was by Walter Christaller formulation of the central place theory location model, which offered geometric explanation about how settlements and villages, cities, towns and places are located in relation to one another. Walter Christaller's 1933 book, which is formulated much of what is now understood as central place theory. Walter Christaller, the German geographer who emphasized those villages simply functioned as a central places, providing services to surrounding areas. Central place theory in geography is an ingredient of locality model concerning the size and distribution of central places or a community of people who live in a smaller than a town or hamlets within a system. Central place theory attempts to demonstrate how villages locate in relation to one another and amount of market area or central place can control, and why some central places function as a rural community or cities or villages or towns. In his book Central Place Theory, he related to the central places in southern Germany. The primary purpose of a central place theory is based on the provision of goods and services to market or town or settlement as well as the surrounding market areas. Such towns are centrally located and many be called central places. Settlements that provide more goods and services than do other places are called higher order central places. Higher order central places are more widely distributed and smaller number in quantity than lower order places. Lower order central places have small market areas and provide goods and services that are purchased more frequently than higher order goods and services. Christaller's theory assumes that central places are distributed over uniform horizontal places of constant population density and steady purchasing power. Movement across the plain is uniform and easy in any direction. Transportation costs differ in a linear manner and consumers act rationally to minimize transportation cost by using the nearest location offering the desired. Central place theory is a geographical theory that seeks to explain the number, size and location of human settlements in an urban system. An additional most important contribution to location model was Weber's theory of industrial location. It is also called the pure theory. Alfred Weber is a German economist, articulates an efficient hypothesis of industrial location in 1909. Weber's theory of location is simply deductive in its approach. He analyzed the factors that determine the location of the industry and classified these issues into two divisions. They are: the first one is primary causes of regional distribution of industry or the regional factors, and the second one is secondary reasons, which include agglomerative and deglomerative factors that are responsible for redistribution of industry. Alfred Weber further examines the cause of departure of industrial location from the centers of least transport costs. The existence of differences in labor costs lead to an industry to deviate from the optimal point of transportation orientation. Geographical distribution of the population would give rise to the differences in wages for labor. Naturally, the transport oriented location of any industry is drawn out and attracted towards the cheaper labor centers. Such migration of an industry from a point of minimum transport cost to a cheaper labor center may be likely to occur only where the savings in the expenditure of labor are larger than the extra cost of transport ought to incur. Thus, all factors that are related to the primary reasons of regional distribution of industry. The subsequent point left out is the secondary reasons, that are agglomerative and deglomerative aspects. The agglomerative factor is a gain or depreciating of production or marketing which results from the fact that production is carried on at one place, like centralization. A deglomerative factor is a cheapening of production which results from the decentralization of production, that is, production in more than one place, like a decentralized branch of banking. To some extent, these agglomerative and deglomerative factors also contribute to the local accumulation and distribution of industry. These factors will function only within the universal framework formed by two regional factors, that is, costs of transportation and cost of labor. The advantages which could be derived in this context are the external economies. The forces which the agglomerative factors possess are to attract an industry to a particular point are chiefly dependent on two factors. Firstly, on the index of manufacture, that is the proportion of manufacturing costs, the entire weight of the product, and secondly, the locality weight, that is the entire weight to be transported during all the stages of production. Weber uses the concept of coefficient of manufacture, which is the ratio of manufacturing expenditure to locality weightage. Agglomeration is encouraged with high coefficient of manufacture and degglomeration with low coefficient of production, and these trends are innate in their nature. According to Weber, a split of production into numerous locations will be the rule for productive process, which can be technically dividing. Productive activities could be derived depending on the nature of raw materials, industry and market. Weber believes that the location for an industry at more than one place, for instance, the first stage of production may be near to the raw material deposits and the subsequent stage near to the place of financial consumption. Likewise, in a paper industry, the manufacture of pulp may be carried on next to the suppliers of raw materials and the second stage of paper manufacture close to the consumption outlet. Locational coupling. Weber furthermore visualizes the advantages of setting up different category of industries in the same locality. The production of quite different articles may be combined in one plant because several raw materials may move away from a common source. This may be either due to technical or economic reasons. For instance, certain chemical industries, garment factories which manufacture blouses, shawls, overcoats, etc. Locational coupling may also crop up due to association through materials. If the byproduct of an industry happens to be the raw material of any other industry, then two industries may select a single place of location. Weber's theory of location has been criticized on various grounds, which may be summarized as follows. Number 1, Weber has been criticized for his unrealistic approach and deductive reasoning. According to Sergeant Florence, vague unrealization cannot provide suitable solutions to the theory of location, and non-economic considerations will also influence which are not mentioned in the pure theory. He says that Weber's theory fails to elucidate locations resulting from historical and social forces. Second one is, Preedel criticizes Weber's theory as more a selective theory than deductive theory. The very distinction between primary and secondary is itself artificial, illogical and arbitrary. The third important criticism is, Weber assumes fixed labor centers and unlimited supplies of labor which are unrealistic. The rise of industry may create new labor centers, and we cannot assume unlimited labor supplies at any center. The fourth one is, in a competitive market structure, the assumption of fixed point of consumption is unrealistic. Country-wise scattering unusually of consuming public is reality, and there may be a shift in the consuming centers with a shift in industrial population. The fifth one is, Robinson also considers Weber's division of raw material into ubiquitous and localized as artificial. Weber has received serious criticism. It has been said that Weber did not effectively and realistically take into account geographic variation in a market demand, which is considered a locational factor of governing influence. His treatment of transport did not identify these costs are not proportional to distance and the weight, and that intermediate locations necessitate added terminal charges. Labor is not always available in unlimited quantity at any location, and it is usually quite mobile through migration. Plus, most manufacturing plants obtain a large number of material inputs and produce a wide range of products for many diverse markets. So, his theory does not be suitable. Furthermore, he has underestimated the consequence of agglomeration effect. With the help of the discussion, it is clear that the location models are really useful to any student of geography and economics.